Welcome everybody to the Green Dialogue, and today we have a special guest who's been here before, actually, Tom Moore, who has some questions for us, and perhaps a little bit of a background about some of the initiatives that he's launched and involved with through the Okemos and Haslett libraries. So I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, Tom. We're gonna have a kind of a brief maybe presentation, then open it up for conversation about whatever people want to talk about.
That'll work. Thanks, Leroy. Yeah, I do have a PowerPoint if I'm able to share that. My name is Tom Moore. I'm the regional head librarian of the Haslett and Okemos branches for the Capital Area District Libraries. And I don't have too much green to talk about today, but we did want to talk about the library's role in the community and the impact that we think we're having, hopefully we're having, and then maybe get some feedback and thoughts from all of you about what else you might like to see going on with the libraries or in the community that we might be able to be a part of. So let me see if I can do this and this, share, and go. All right, cool. Can you see the presentation okay?
Yes.
Okay, so hopefully I don't get too preachy about all this library stuff. But so libraries, this is our 25th anniversary for the Capital Area District Libraries. 25 years ago, all of our libraries across Ingham County, with the exception of East Lansing, came together to kind of share resources, right? They thought that they could be stronger together. And that's one good example of just libraries coming together, sharing resources, and making our community stronger just right there. I think the amount of foresight and effort and change that had to happen to make that success is really quite remarkable. And to think about all of the individual libraries that were already in existence in Ingham County and in our communities here in Meridian, and to see them now today having changed and grown and become stronger because of this collaboration, I think is an incredible feat, especially when you put into perspective, if you think about some of the things that I'll talk about and some of the things libraries offer. And when we look back 25 years ago, I mean, this was the height of technology. This iMac G3 was released in 1998. And now we have the smartphones and laptops, and I remember seeing these things in college. But it's really just incredible to see how far we've come in 25 years. Over that time, we've gone from sort of just trying to figure things out, building that foundation of what the libraries were going to be as their partners, to becoming a very successful system in the library system in the state of Michigan. In 2018, I sat down with our executive director, Scott Dimstra, and he had just been the director for not too long, a little under a year. And we were sitting there at the Michigan Library Association conference talking about the library that had won the state libraries Librarian's Excellence Award. And Scott told me, Capital Area District Libraries were going to win that award. And in 2019, that's what happened. The Michigan Library Association, the state librarian, presented CADL with the State Librarian's Excellence Award for their service in the community through our collections and our events and programs. And some of that, it doesn't happen by accident, right? Like, you have to plan and be intentional about what you're doing and what work that you want to focus on, and building a culture of service to our communities. And then just last year, CADL was named as one of America's star libraries by the Library Journal. The American Library Association puts out a list of its star libraries across the country. And usually there's a handful in Michigan, maybe 2, 3, sometimes as many as 5. And for the first time ever, the Capital Area District Libraries was included in that list of exceptional libraries in the nation. So that's another really great achievement that we're incredibly proud of. And it's some of these services that we're building out in our relationship with the community that really makes that possible. Our mission at the Capital Area District Libraries is to empower our diverse communities to learn, imagine, and connect. When I tell people that I work at the library, I often get kind of the same reactions over and over again. Oh, they tell me how much they love to read. Maybe they love books. Maybe some people say they wish they could be a librarian. Oftentimes I get a joke about shushing people, which I don't really do. PowerPoint, you abandoned me. But really, our work here is about the people and the community and the connections that we can make. Our vision is to inspire that we aspire to be a welcoming place where reading, learning, imagination can thrive, to be a recognized leader and respected voice in the community, and a model library for libraries across the state. And so, when you think about these two pieces, this mission and this vision, it's not that we're holding books, we're not boxing ourselves into this little small role in our community. We want to play a big part in its success and its ability to thrive and grow and learn. And I think that's really important. And that's why in the first place that I got into working into libraries and what it inspired me to continue on with my schoolwork and get my master's in library and information science and join the profession here. It's not just about the books and the resources that we offer. It's about the impact that we have in the community. And so some of the things that we've been doing at the library, especially if you visited Haslett since I started there in 2020, we've been doing having a little bit more fun than maybe we used to, because I kind of believe that a library, because we're there to empower our community, to inspire them to learn and connect and imagine and grow here, that we should be having fun, that the library should be a vibrant place that you walk into. And so especially at Haslett and at Okemos as well, you'll see kind of displays all over the place where we have something unexpected in the building that really makes you stop and look and think and hopefully smile. So we'll always have big giant displays. One of our clerks at Haslett helps us with these to really catch the kids' attention, and the adults too, I think, get a hoot out of them. And at Okemos, I mean, even right now we have a little habitat for a monarch butterfly. So our caterpillar is kind of there munching away on its leaves, and will soon become a chrysalis. But that way, our community, our kids coming into the building can not just see these things in books, but they can experience some of this nature that we have outdoors inside, and get a closer look at what's happening with this caterpillar, what's happening with these different pieces of our world. But I encourage our staff to try new things, to show off their passions and their skills. And I've been really, really proud of what they've accomplished and what they try and do, from our underwater scene here featuring the book character Narwhal, to our crazy cardboard city that we put on during the fall. We worked with the schools to promote their cardboard challenge that they were offering. And sometimes it gets a little bit messy, sometimes you end up with cardboard boxes just kind of all over the place, but I think everyone kind of gets a hoot out of it. There's another image down the hall. We had buildings up and down the hallway, road lines down the floor, so people could move around and explore and dream and imagine and bring in their own box, which they did, painted and colored to add to our little cardboard city at Haslett. I think that was 2 Novembers ago now. And we try to, encourage people to create and share in these fun experiences through our, stick art project that now decorates the Haslett Library, to our postcard contest that we had this summer, where we asked people to put down positive messages on postcards, and we're going to print some of the best options, and you can pick those up at our circulation desk to send a positive message onto a family or friend member. And sometimes, it's nice to just walk by and see something unexpected, like, a former head librarian hiding in the native plants outside the Okemos Library. But through all of this, even though it seems simple, we're encouraging people to take risks, to try new things, and really just go after their big ideas. The Scrabble wall at Haslett was just something that came up in a conversation. And now we have a 6x8 Scrabble wall that you can play and add words to and change and interact with each time that you're in the library. And sometimes we find nice messages on the board like this. We love you, happy birthday, Aunt Tracy. And sometimes we find just a mess of all the letters up on the wall, and we clean it off and start again. But the kids have fun, that the adults walk by and make words, and it's just been kind of a fun way to engage all ages in our community. But of course, everyone knows that we have books, and books is a big part of what we do. And so I did want to share a little bit, because I don't know if everyone realizes how kind of seriously our book collection is and how seriously we take this. Our collection budget is somewhere around $1.8 million. So just to put that in perspective of what we're getting from the capital area district libraries as this shared system and sharing all of our resources here. The Delta Township District Library and the East Lansing Public Library, who are both standalone libraries, their entire budgets are about $1.5 million or roundabouts, and they both spend less than $100,000 on materials. So our materials budget, building out this giant, diverse, deep collection of materials for everyone to access, is something that we place a priority on, and it's one of the things that is that's kind of gauged in some of those different awards and honors that come up. We have 3 full-time collection specialists that select the materials for us. Someone who selects just the adult fiction, one specialist for adult nonfiction, and another who purchases all the youth materials. And then we have a 4th person who handles all of our Library of Things collection. So right now, and for the last several years, one of our goals has been to build collections that reflect our diverse communities. So we've had an ongoing effort to seek out and purchase more diverse materials, and make that a priority in our purchasing, and when we're building out displays and highlighting titles and book lists, so that everyone in our community can see themselves reflected in the collection that we hold in our buildings. It's not always easy. The publishers have not always been publishing a lot of diverse materials either. And so for some factors of our minority populations, there is not a large selection to choose from when we're selecting materials. But we do find that it's important that everyone is welcome in the library, and everyone can find themselves in our collection. And then, this one's not so much of a secret, but one thing that we hold as kind of one of our core values is customer service. Our librarians and our staff love to help people. And so one really cool thing about the library is that we are a community resource. And yes, it's paid for through your millage and property taxes. But otherwise it's one place in the community where you can go for help for free. There's no transactional fee when you come to ask us a question. And we get all sorts of questions from all sorts of people, whether it's finding information, placing holds on materials, connecting to resources, helping out on the computer or with their cell phones, their iPads, their laptops. And we also get, sort of just random questions. One time I had someone call and ask me to settle an argument for them. So they asked me to Google a couple things so I could settle this disagreement that they had on the phone. I've searched for celebrity agents, for business addresses, to find local event information, and so much more. We never know what our community members are going to ask of us, but we're here to help as best as we can. And oftentimes, if we can't find the information itself, we look to see if we can refer someone to information that's out there in the community elsewhere. And as I mentioned, here we're a resource not just for getting people connected to our books, but we also are a resource for our technology and our computers. We've had over the last year 14,000 computer sessions and over 16,000 wireless sessions. And so the library is this resource in the community where you can access computers and Wi-Fi, print and scanners. And it's, even though, especially Meridian, it seems like everyone has access to the internet and technology and their own computers and can do these things themselves. It really isn't always the case. There are so many people in our community that are still using the public library as their only way to access the internet, to check their email, to print off coupons for Kroger. And there's also a good segment of our residents that come in because they know that someone's there to help them. Whether they can't figure out how to print their airline tickets or they need help filling out a job application or creating a resume, we're here in the community to help. And again, we don't have that transactional fee, so it is kind of a free resource that you can come in and use when you need it. We have community spaces that you can use for your meetings. We've had over about 250 organizations use our rooms last year, with probably about 2,500 people or so in attendance at those meetings. This is just a stock photo. It's not actually one of our rooms here, but the Haslett and Okemos libraries both have meeting rooms. We have only 4 libraries in our system that do offer meeting space for the community. So Lansing, South Lansing, Okemos, and Haslett. So we're really blessed, I suppose, to have a space that we can offer to the community to use for those. When it's not in use for all of our events, I guess. Because it's not a space just about allowing the community to meet for their own groups. We bring people together through our programs and our events every year. So far this year, I put it in my notes somewhere, I think. Well, maybe I didn't. So far this year, we've had over 5,000 people already attend our events. I think we've had about 200, 300 events so far through the beginning of June. And I guess, our events, something to keep in mind is not just about what's being offered. It's about the opportunity for our community to come together, much like the Parks and Rec and events like Celebrate Meridian and the Farmers Market are. The library is just another place in our community where you can go outside your home and connect with other people. One of our iconic sort of events here is our story times. They happen multiple times a week, almost all year round. We take a little bit of May off and a little bit of December off, but otherwise every single week, Monday, Tuesday, Monday through Thursday, you can find a story time at either the Haslett or Okemos libraries. And these are important events for us. They seem kind of straightforward as far as the library is reading books to kids, and we have a bunch of books, and that makes a lot of sense. But what you may not realize is that when we're offering a story time, we're not just reading a book, we're trying to inspire these kids to be future readers, to find that joy in reading and learning and imagining. And we're also modeling early literacy skills, right? At CADL, we talk about the 5 early literacy skills: reading, writing, talking, playing, and singing. They're all important pieces of becoming good readers in later life. And so when our librarians are reading these books during these story times, they're modeling those skills, not just to the kids, and showing them how to interact and ask questions about the books, to sing different songs during the story times, to do different finger plays like Itsy Bitsy Spider and so on. But we're also modeling those behaviors for the parents who, yes, they can pick up a book and read to their child on their own, but here we're giving them kind of these subtle hints on, here's some good practices, here's how you can make this a little bit more engaging for your kids. So we point to pictures and the words, we ask questions about what's happening in the book, and we share those songs and finger plays with them. And then at the end of our story times, there's usually a time for socialization, right? That we're bringing these kids and parents together and helping them make connections in the community here, because it's a hard thing to be a young parent with little kids, as probably a lot of you know and have been through. And to be able to connect with another parent with a young child and vent and talk about your frustrations and talk about what you're going through with your kids and how they're developing and what challenges you're facing, and having that touchstone in the community is important. And we see that after story time when we bring out the toys and the crafts. And at Haslett, we like to have a bubble machine going. The kids get to play and interact, and the parents have an opportunity to talk and connect with each other. And we might not always be making lifelong friends, but we're at least providing that connection there. And we do that for all ages, not just at our story times. We bring people together through all of our programs. I mean, our book clubs, again, are not just about that book that we're reading and promoting those titles. It's about giving people an opportunity to come together to talk and discuss and share ideas and perspectives, and hopefully make connections so that they stay in touch. We have many of our book club members end up becoming friends. They check on each other, at different times. They ask for people help. They go to lunch later. So it is really about building community. We have euchre groups and crafting clubs, the book clubs, and then we handle one-time events with speakers on different topics as well. We get out into the community. Also, we don't just stay in our buildings. This is a picture of our mobile library, which is soon to be retired. We're working on a replacement vans for it. But in Meridian Township, we have 6 or 7 locations that the mobile library stops at. We have book nooks, which are collections of materials at senior living facilities in 7 locations here in Meridian Township. We offer a books by mail program for people who can't leave their homes due to medical conditions, so that they can still take advantage of library resources. And then we go out and we visit preschools and daycares. We attend community events where This summer, we'll be at the farmers market every other Wednesday. We were there last week with a community resource fair that we had put together with 20 or so organizations offering information about their services and volunteer opportunities. We go to senior homes and share programs. I do a monthly travel talk at several of them. And we even have a program called Connection and Corrections, where we send staff to the Ingham County Jail and help inmates record themselves reading books to send home to their children or grandchildren. That's just a quick list, a snapshot. I think this was from October, a snapshot of all the different places that we worked with, or different organizations or businesses that we worked with in October, September, October of last year. So you can see that we try and stay connected to the community. One of my big things is that I feel like the library shouldn't just be in the communities we're serving. We need to be a part of that, and that comes with making those connections and collaborating on things and forming partnerships and working together to tackle some of the issues and the problems and goals that we want to see our community achieve. So at the Okemos Library, especially, some of our groups, the staff realized that we have a very international community, mostly because of MSU, right? People coming to go to grad school or study or teach, and they're bringing their families with them. And so what we started at Okemos was an English as a second language conversation group. And it's been running for years and years, where one of our staff just sets aside time to allow people to come in and practice English and learn a little bit about our culture and different phrases and idioms in our language, but mostly just to find those connections in the community, even if they're just staying in our area for the next year or two, so that they can feel at home and meet other people and work on developing their language skills. We also started after that offering an ESL conversation group for kids as well. And that usually runs in the spring and then again in the fall. And same idea, the kids that are coming with our families who are, English is not their first language. It gives them an opportunity to connect with other kids in our community and practice that English so that they can hopefully improve, and another way to learn about our country and our culture. And so from this work, we started to branch out, and I think it was in 2019, we started offering citizenship classes. Our outreach specialist, Jill Abood, and one of our librarians at Okemos, Eric Stanton, offer citizenship classes and tutoring for our immigrant population so that they can eventually become U.S. citizens. And I don't have the numbers of how many people that they've taught or helped pass the test, but they do like to brag that everyone that's kind of gone through their program and worked with them to help study, they have 100% success rate as far as people passing the tests. And that includes some of the employees at the Capital Area District Libraries who have benefited from that one-on-one kind of tutoring that we're providing. We have lots of other resources to support language learning. Transparent Languages is our online language tool where you can learn, I don't know, more than 40 different languages, but also has an ESL component so you can learn English. Really great tool if you're looking to learn a different language. And of course, we have our Library of Things. So our Library of Things collection has been driving a lot of interest, not just from people taking advantage of the collection, but it's also one of the things that we like to highlight when we're out at different events, when we go to the school's science nights and the block parties, when we're out at, maybe the farmer's market, we're bringing some of our music instruments tonight. And it's something that is really tangible, that creates interest and helps get people, reconnected to the library, even if they think that they, don't need us because they buy all their books, or they, don't read at all. It's something that is drawing people back into the library so they can see what resources we have available. And then finally, I think I'll probably end with these last two slides. Well, I have 3 slides that will end. And so part of that collection is this, that we hand out bus passes for the Capital Area Transit Authority. We've partnered with CADL to give out 30-day, 31-day bus passes for free to the community members. We've also partnered with Potter Park Zoo to hand out zoo passes that you can check out, get free parking at the zoo and free admission for kind of one vehicle of people. And that's been a really great resource to help get people connected to those resources that they may otherwise struggle to connect with. We're a part of a statewide network providing the Michigan Activity Pass, which provides free passes to all of the Michigan state parks, and also discounts and coupons and other discounts and coupons to other cultural locations around the state, so museums and different places like that you can go to michiganactivitypass.info, find the pass, find the place that you want to go, put in your library card, and print those passes out at home and take advantage of the different resources. And then finally, we'll end here that we have the Student Success Initiative that we've been working hard on the last 2 years, realizing that not everyone has the opportunity, the time, the motivation to make it into the library, to sign their kids up for library cards. So we've worked with all of the school districts in Ingham County to make it so that students have access to a library card, to library resources just with their student ID. So it's over 20,000 students that we've connected to library resources or have the opportunity through this program. So here in Haslett and in Okemos, if a student is going to our public schools, their student ID or their username for their email address is now also their public library card. They can check out up to 5 books with that card and access all of our digital resources. So that's been a really great connection for us. It helps us with our summer care visits that we'll have from the Haslett Public Schools Kids Connection are visiting us every Wednesday. So everyone coming to the library already has a card. They can check out those books during those visits. But we also work really hard to make sure that there's other resources available for the students. We have hotspots that we check out specifically just to those student success card holders. And so that we're helping in a way with this connection and bridging that digital divide in our communities. In total, we have, I don't know, something like 300 hotspots in circulation, and then about 20 or so are set aside for these student success cards. But you can check out hotspots and laptops and iPads and all sorts of things with that Library of Things collection. And that's kind of where I'll wrap it up. I could go on and on about digital resources and more and other things, but I'd be interested to hear if anyone has any questions or thoughts for me about the library, and then if you want, I can continue kind of sharing, but we'll
Thank you so
there.
much, Tom. That was fabulous overview, and we're honored that you carved out an hour of your busy schedule to chat with us. Thank you so much. I'll let people, if they have questions.
Well, I was amazed to discover that I hadn't checked out materials for a while until I did, because I've got so many resources people keep giving me. But I discovered that I didn't really have to remember when they were due. They were automatically renewed for me. And, pending that if anyone had a hold for anything. And I'm going, what? Really? I didn't have to think about taking them back. And then I talked to a friend who subs at the libraries, and she said, yeah, there's no fines anymore either, unless you really don't bring it back, and then you will be billed for it eventually. But
Yeah.
said,
I mean,
yeah, that is so, but you can't check anything else out until you do return stuff, of course. And I said, well, that makes complete sense. And I'm familiar with this MAP pass, the Michigan Activity Pass. I volunteer at a museum, and I'm really gratified that families with young kids come in and they bring those passes that they get from their local libraries, and they don't have to pay anything at our museum, for admission. And I think the MAP pass is free to them as well.
yeah.
So I don't understand why more people don't take advantage of that, because that is such an amazing resource. Now, does the museum pay anything to be part of that program, I wonder?
That's a really good question. I doubt that they pay anything. It's more, although I don't know, to be honest, but my take on it, it's more, what are they willing to give up, to be a part of it? Because they're offering something for free. The each museum or each location, the lighthouse, if you're, visiting some of them, each of those makes their own decision about what they're willing to offer. So sometimes it's free admission, sometimes it's like just a discount to their gift shop. So it varies widely by the different locations. And so I would say that they probably are just making that decision about what they're comfortable, allowing. But I honestly don't know. I never asked if they are paying to be a part of it. Probably not, because libraries in general, we try not to charge fees for things. So if we can get more institutions involved, then that would be better for us than, trying to get them all to charge a fee and then so on. So
It's probably just considered a win-win, because people, find out about library resources, and we get people in the door at the museum who may not have otherwise come there,
right, yeah.
Are there other services that people might suggest for Tom or the libraries we should be thinking about, or just in terms of brainstorming possibilities?
Wow.
Well, you mentioned several times ESL, and when I first heard that, I thought you said ASL.
Oh,
I got
sure.
excited. I've been trying to teach myself American Sign Language, and because I'm slowly losing my hearing. It's just a thing that runs in my family, unfortunately. But does the library do anything with ASL?
We have not, to my knowledge, yet done anything with ASL. I think Transparent Languages may have a component for sign language, but I'd have to check really quick to find out for sure. In our community, though, in the Lansing area, we have the Michigan Braille and Talking Book Library, and I don't know if they. Well, that's a different thing. I don't know why I went there with sign language. So that was wrong direction. No, that's something we could definitely look into, though, and see if we could start offering more resources. Because aside from the books that we do have, sign language dictionaries, we'll have a few. But yeah, I'm not sure of any other resources that we're offering currently.
Yeah, it is one of those things that you can teach yourself as much as you want, but you really need to use it with other people, I think, to
Right.
become proficient.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to have a small group of people that get together and just practice.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Sure.
I was very encouraged to hear that you encourage your employees to explore to highlight their skills, use their passions, just try new things, and sort of empower them to do creative things in the organization. That seems like a model for other organizations that could be sort of lead to some innovative change.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're in a kind of a fortunate position is that, right, like libraries have a good position where everyone knows what we are, but at the same time, no one really understands what everything that we could offer, and we're not like boxed into saying, well, this is the only thing that we're going to do, right? So like we don't just do story times. And what I tell my staff is that if they have something that they're interested in, that they're passionate about, oftentimes there's other people in the community that are interested or passionate about those same things. And so if we work on our strengths and those kind of subject areas, then we can, do something that people will really appreciate. And we have a lot of part-time staff at our libraries, so they're often coming and going. We have, I think, 3 or 4 people moving on to grad school this summer, and so we'll replace those staff, and the new staff that comes in will help kind of shape what our libraries are and what we're able to offer based on their strengths. So we kind of move and flow with the staff that we have on hand at the time, while trying to keep some of those core services alive. But so
What else is on people's minds? Go ahead.
I was gonna say back to the fines, with Elaine, that came from COVID a little bit, right? That we were saying, well, how can people possibly get our books back on time? We were quarantining everything. And we decided to, put a suspension on fines. And then at the same time, we had a diversity, kind of equity and inclusion sort of committee working and looking at our policies, and made a decision that, library fines that have always kind of been in existence are really, really kind of punitive, right? Like they punish people for not getting their materials back, and sometimes they're an extra hardship on the people that can't afford them the most, right? Like so the people that need the library services the most are going to get hit with these fines, and then they can't come back to the library because of them. And so instead we have a 10-day block. So if you don't bring your materials back within 10 days of the due date, then we just suspend your service until you bring those materials back, and we're not charging that extra money for those late books anymore. So we still have a component to get the materials back, but not being so mean about it, I guess.
There was a question in the chat about environmental programs for youth from Tom Frazier.
Yeah, we don't have too many. Actually, this summer we have our Tom Schultz, our youth librarian, is hosting a few programs, though. Let me pull them up. Go down to Okemos. And we just worked with who do we just work with? The mussel outreach program from the DNR, to come and talk about mussels and their importance in the ecosystem in Michigan. So
We can also follow up with an email later. If you
Yeah.
can share that.
Yeah, I can follow up. His Tom Schultz, our youth librarian at Okemos, has a interest in moving towards more kind of nature programming. And so I know he is offering at least 2 programs this summer that are focusing on getting kids outdoors and thinking about our world outside of, our iPads and technology and so on. So we have a few, but we haven't done anything like composting or not too many recycling programs. Haslett Beautification Association hosted some of the STEM classes from Ralia Elementary, the 5th graders out at the Haslett Library here to help us with our landscaping, and taught them a little bit about the plants that were out there and how to plant and take care of flowers essentially. But we're not too far into it, but that would be something good to look into.
I have to take off here in a minute, but I just wanted to say thanks, Tom, for reaching out and being part of the farmers market. It's been great to have you and to hopefully increase your reach.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. It's good to see you here. Well, sorry to see you.
Well, yeah, I was on video now, but I'm ducking out. But yeah, I just think, and I think the idea about considering ecological or environmental literacy as part of your overall mission is both awesome, but hopefully you can grow into that organically and be able to provide some service in that way too. You certainly have a lot of resources that help people understand the environment better.
Yeah, we
and
absolutely
then
do.
hands-on stuff or other ways that you can engage people sounds certainly up the line of a library. So and I guess too, there's just there's only so many public spaces, and you guys are trying to fill lots of niches that help people connect with other people and learn things and discover each other. And I think that's a great service, an essential service that you guys are doing. So thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you, Tom. Thank you for letting us be a part of the market.
Oh, hey, you should have a permanent spot there. It's a public space and you should be there. So thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure. Part of those. So kind of going along the lines of the environmental literacy, that's a really good idea, right? Like greening our community, that's one of the priorities for the township, if I'm not mistaken. It seems it would make sense if we could take a bigger role in kind of furthering that mission. Every year in the spring, we do offer seed libraries. They're not so much libraries as much as they are, a collection of seeds that we give out to the community, and those will always have a mix of vegetables and wildflowers, some native plants, and Mr. Tom Schultz from the Okemos Library is in charge of it for Okemos. We're hoping to expand that to the Haslett branch next year as well, but we haven't gone as far as doing anything with seed harvesting, and taking seeds back, donated seeds back, and getting those back out into the community. We're concerned with kind of the quality of the seeds that might be returned and having it be so hit and miss. But something to look forward to in the future as well.
You've probably hooked up with Emma Campbell, our naturalist. She's been doing a lot of seed collection and has some regular outdoor activities too that could be co-promoted potentially.
Yeah, I spoke with her the other day. We haven't really connected as well as I would have liked to, but she's busy, I'm busy. We'll get there. Eventually, all things take time, unfortunately. But she does a lot of great things in the community, that's for sure.
When you think about, you're probably plugged into a national or international network of libraries. Are there other creative programming ideas that you would like some support for, or things that intrigue you about what other libraries might be doing that we could be doing locally?
I mean, that's a really good question. I mean, we're kind of following the same sort of patterns, right? It's more about coming up with ideas for engaging the community right now than it is any one particular idea that I see that I would like to pursue. I think for us coming out of COVID, it's really trying to build back up to where we were pre-COVID, you know, get a good established base of events going. I see a lot of youth programming at our two buildings, but not as much events that help connect adults, right? Or to get information out and educational workshops or seminars or what have you. And I would like to see that expand a little bit, especially as we're thinking about the seniors in our community, right? The 55, 65 plus community of people that, and that population is going to continue to grow, and they want to stay engaged and be learning and be active. And I think, for us as CADL, we've done a very good job with kids programming in the past, but not so great in focusing on kind of our older, population. And that'd be important.
Well, along those lines, there is talk about doing a compost workshop or maybe a community compost demonstration. And the library might be a cool place to do that. I know we talked about food waste drop off, but actually maybe demonstration of some different types of bins, or maybe a combination of things.
Yeah,
we do
we
have
could
some
definitely do
connections
that.
for potential speakers that could talk about that.
That'd be
So
a good idea.
might be a low cost option too, to also help you reduce your waste or trash that you collect.
Sure.
Maybe we could talk Bill into bringing his worms. A little vermiculture going on.
Well, since he left early, maybe we can just assign that to him.
Sam, did you have a question or a comment?
Yeah, Tom, thanks. And when you get into this environmental programming, there's so many offshoots. We're just talking about a few, composting and native plants and all these specific things. But another one that you could home into really tightly, and kind of zero in on would be the whole climate change issue, which is kind of an umbrella of a lot of these other ones, so when you talk about composting, when you talk about native plants, you're kind of dancing around the big idea of climate change. And, well, it's just, I guess from my observation, just getting started, we're starting to see more and more, even on the national news in the evening, just about every day, there's a mentioning of it, where 4 years ago, it was poo-pooed. The idea was during the previous administration, it was actually basically told that it was a false idea.
Right.
So, but in reality, it is progressing, and when it truly becomes a crisis, it's too late. So
Yeah.
it's almost too late right now. But the more information that we can get out there about that, your real information, true information, and I think there's so many people that they've heard of it, climate change, but they don't really understand it. There's a lot about it that could be said.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would be interested in learning more myself, right, about a lot of the environmental work that you're doing. I'm not very well educated in the first place, so I have a lot of learning to do myself. But by getting information out there, we could definitely work on kind of that sort of like a green series of things from climate change to some of the smaller efforts like the composting and whatnot. That could be something that could be done.
We have about 5 more minutes. Anybody else have any questions or comments that they'd like to share? Okay, I'll throw one out. Do you have any thoughts about artificial intelligence and how that's going to change things for the libraries?
I don't at this point, you know, even yeah, at this point I don't, you know, with the internet coming into being and the ease of, you know, kind of being able to Google and look up your own information and have those answers kind of at your fingertips. One of the things that we, you know, saw over time was that our like really deep in-depth reference work that libraries were kind of always known for has kind of gone away, right? That's not really what we're about anymore, is that information and research and whatnot, because so few people ask us for that types of services. And so probably if we're looking at this AI stuff, we'll, you know, it'll just continue further along that trend. But there'll always be people who need help or prefer, you know, someone kind of getting the answers for them, and we'll be there for those kinds of interactions. And with any new technology that comes out, libraries are typically trying to find a role in helping people navigate how that, you know, comes into what it means for their personal lives. So when we get to a point where AI is impacting everyone on sort of a daily basis, it's integrated into technology that they're using or being expected to use to, you know, kind of function in our society. That's when we'll see the libraries probably step up and say like, okay, well, we need to provide some education on what this is and how you can take advantage of that resource, or what to be sort of informed about so that you're not, you know, hitting some of those pitfalls. But at this point, maybe it's just my one small perspective. I don't see it changing anything at this moment for us.
Thanks. Any other parting comments from folks? Thank you so much for being here, Tom, and look forward to seeing you again sometime and maybe following up on some of your suggestions and helping with some of the suggestions that people have had here, whether
Yeah.
it's speakers or hosting educational sessions.
Absolutely. You know, the only thing you can do is keep the conversations going, right? So if there is something that you want to see at the library or in the community, and we can either be a host space for it or a partner to make it happen, then just keep reaching out and we'll keep working on seeing if we can make it happen.
Sounds good.
Thank you so much for your time and for inviting me to the meeting, Leroy.
Thank you, everybody. I'll see you next week.